Now we have Anews editor Ibrahim Mulushewa'S in the studio to talk to us further about the peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ibrahim, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, can you give us a context of the situation concerning the whole peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea?
Okay. First, Ethiopia and Eritrea were one country before Eritrea got its independence in 1993. And the border conflict and the war began in 1998, and it lasted for 2 years. And in 2000, there came cessation of hostility between the two countries. And then the two countries agreed to establish a border commission which decide the fate of the lands, the disputed lands, especially the small land called Badme. In 2002, the Commission decided in favor of Eritrea, which is taken to be favoring Eritrea, and Ethiopia in that time accepted in principle, but rejected in practice. This is the whole context, I think.
Okay, why has Ethiopia now made the decision to go with the peace deal? Why have they accepted now?
First, as I said, Ethiopia didn't reject the peace deal, but it rejected the way it was implemented, it said. The second one is Ethiopia is now with a new government in Ethiopia in place. Ethiopia is undertaking a huge reform, both within Ethiopia and with its relation with the neighbors especially, and its relationship, its international relationship. Therefore, Ethiopia, in order to continue its reforms, which is now being taken by the new Prime Minister who is in office since April 3, said in his inauguration ceremony that Ethiopia would launch some kind of peace deal with Eritrea, and he called upon Eritrea to also take initiative. Therefore, there were somewhat a clue given by the government from the beginning. But it became almost a surprise for every one of us. This kind of bold initiative was to be taken by the Ethiopian government, taking the condition and the position Ethiopia had had for the last 2 decades. It boldly called Eritrea to a peace settlement by accepting the whole peace treaty, which is not favoring Ethiopia. Therefore, this is a part of a package of reforms by the Ethiopian government. In one sense, we can say that.
Okay, what will be the position of Eritrea after Ethiopia's acceptance of the peace deal without any preconditions?
Now, as we said in the news, the ball is in the court of Eritrea.
Yep.
But I insist that Eritrea used this dispute and the decision against Ethiopia as a pretext to first suppress its own internal opposition by saying that it is at war with Ethiopia. And the other one is it always accused Ethiopia in front of the international community. And Ethiopia was suffering a lot from its relationship because Ethiopia was taken to be violating the very international law by rejecting the decision by the Independent Border Commission, which it agreed back in 2000. Therefore, the pressure on Ethiopia was very huge. And now, with Ethiopia accepting this, nothing is left for Eritrea to take as a pretext and to continue the flight of its people. Eritrea is, I think, one of the 2 countries which is isolated internationally. And now, the very pretext is lifted, and Eritrea had no choice except to accept what Ethiopia has offered as a peace initiative. Ethiopia is now, by accepting the international agreement which it signed with Eritrea in Algiers back in 2000, is positioning itself in a more advantageous position, because Eritrea insisted in the past that any peace initiative would be possible if Ethiopia accepted without reservation the peace treaty they signed back in 2000.
Now, it's a very significant agreement. What does it mean in terms of peace and stability for the region?
Yes, first, Ethiopia is a huge country. Ethiopia had no a problem militarily because it is one of the most huge military capabilities in Africa. But the problem with Ethiopia was in terms of law, legality. International Ethiopia was conceived to legally violating Eritrea's border, which many Ethiopians do not agree, because there is a problem in Ethiopia now. A nationalist sentiment is also one of the response why we fought this much war, which costs us thousands of lives. Therefore, there is a problem with this nationalist sentiment. But in terms of practical step, Ethiopia is taken a very important decision, not only to bring peace in Ethiopia and Eritrea, but also to bring peace in the region. Because Ethiopia and Eritrea were also in proxy wars against one another by supporting their own opposition parties. And many of Ethiopian oppositions were harboring in Eritrea. Therefore, Ibrahim, this is also very important in terms of...
Ibrahim, I'm going to have to cut you off there. Thank you very much for the insightful information. Now we have to go over live to Mersin Tarsus, where the Turkish president is speaking at the tourism zone inauguration.